Welcome to my YouTube channel, guys. So today I am going to cover Firebase authentication and sign up on nodejs, and I'll be using REST API to hit the sign up endpoint, and also we'll be looking into async-await functionality. So let's get started. So first, make sure you guys are on Firebase Console. So here you just need to be logged in with your Gmail account. We'll go ahead and create a new project. I'll give this name demo Firebase, something like that. You can give it whatever name you guys want to do. Now it will take a couple of minutes. Once this is done, then we are going to create our secret key, like that Firebase gives us that secret key in a JSON format. We will download it and we'll be using it, importing and using it in our project, and we'll see that in a minute. So yeah, now this is done. I actually go to project settings. I think I go to service accounts. Yeah, so here you should see Firebase admin SDK. I'll create a service account. Once that is done, I will create on generate private key. It will download a JSON file. Cool. We will be using this JSON file, and you guys will see how we will use it in a minute. Before that, let's get on with our project. First, I will create a project called demo Firebase. I will cd into it. Now it's gonna be a node project, so I will do npm init, and we will be installing some dependencies. I'll keep everything as default. Okay, it's created. Now I will install some dependencies like express for our server, firebase admin to interact with the Firebase, and nodemon. Nodemon is a development dependency. It basically keeps your server running, and it automatically looks for the changes that you make to your code, and once you save your file, it automatically restarts the server, so we don't have to restart it again and again. So I really like using nodemon. So once this is done, let's install it. In the meantime, let me open my project that we created in my editor. So it should be okay. Yeah. Okay, so it's getting started here. Let me get rid of all of these. Cool. Now before I do anything, I do like to make some changes. As we installed nodemon, and you see by default it takes index.js, but we will name it server because it's a server, so I like to name it server.js. And here I will give start nodemon server.js. Right, so this way whenever I do npm start, it keeps the server on and it looks for the changes. Now I will create a file, name it server.js. Cool. At the same time, the dependency file that we installed, let's try to, okay, it's pasted here, but I do recommend not to share this with anyone. Right, so we have our JSON file here, right? That's a secret key. Now we don't need anything from the Firebase side. We can start with our code thing. So I will have constant express. Oops. Correct. I'll do app use express.json. And for content type application, form URL encoded type, we will also use. Anyways, I am going to test one endpoint, but I do like to use it. So if anyone is interested, they can copy this as well. Okay, now this is done. We will set port and listen for our requests. Right, there's a spelling mistake which I keep doing. So I do a port, process environment port. This thing here is we can actually give it a default value like 8080, but this is really helpful if you guys deploy it on AWS and where there are some default ports that some of the node projects like to use, which won't be 8080. So I'm still using it, but yeah, currently we are only using it for development purposes, so we don't care much about that part. Port, okay, console.log, server is running on port. Okay, I'm going to do this one because I'm going to insert a number. So that's how you do string interpolation, and then this is done, I guess. Okay, cool. Let's run our server and see if it works. npm start and nodemon should start. Okay, so server is running on port 8080. That's what we want to print, right? Everything is done. Now we can actually start with our Firebase integration. So we already created an account, and what I'm going to do here is you see the authentication part, go here, because we are going to sign up a user and we will see the email ID and the user ID with which Firebase creates an account, right? So as soon as we hit the sign up API endpoint with username and password, uh, we will call Firebase SDK endpoint of authentication, and it's gonna create a new user, and that we'll see in a bit. But before that, we actually need to activate few things from here. So it asks us what kind of authentication do you need. So for now we will just go with plain email password. I'll just enable it and save it. Okay, cool. So when you go to users, we should see a new user here. Currently we don't see because we don't have any users on board. So let's go back to our coding and do constant admin require firebase admin, right? And then I do constant credentials. These credentials is something that we already downloaded. We see the service account key JSON here, right? So I'm going to require that service account key.json. Make sure if you guys have this project pushed to GitHub, make sure to include this file in gitignore, because you don't want it on any public site where anyone else can access it. So if they have credentials to your Firebase, they can actually make changes to your database, and that's not what someone wants, right? Admin credential certificate credentials. Okay, so that's the syntax to initialize the app. Where is our terminal gone? Let me pull it up. Okay, so if I save this, if it should restart it, but we get an error, and yeah, this should not be there. Okay, credentials. Okay, so all the errors are gone, and you see how convenient it is. Like as soon as I save it, it just recompiles everything, and we get to see if there are any errors. Now let's create our endpoint. This is going to be a post endpoint. I'll do a sign up and then async, as it's going to use await. Anything which is asynchronous inside this method, we need to use this keyword. Now why it's asynchronous call inside this endpoint? The reason being, because we are going to call a cloud service, which is our Firebase, and it is hosted somewhere else, right? It's not running locally in our server. So there will be some latency involved, and whenever the latency is involved, it takes time, right? And that's just the basic meaning of asynchronous, that it's gonna take some time. It's not gonna stop anything else on our threads, and let's wait for the request to come back. So we'll use await, that okay, stop everything, let's wait. Before, once the user is created, we get a 200 response back, and that's when we do something else. So I do const user response await. Now here I am going to create a user, create user, and I do email, which is going to be, if we send it in request, it will be in a body, request body email, password, request body password. Similarly, email verified. These are some fields that this method takes in. Currently we do pass it as default as false, because as soon as the person signs up, the email is not verified. You can then send them a verification email, they click on it, and then you can set this value again to true, right? But for now, this is it. Disabled, is this account disabled? I will pass it as false. I think these fields are enough, and once this is created, let's return back the user response so we can see what we get. Okay, so let's save this. Okay, the app is running fine. Now I am going to use Postman for our requests. Let me pull it up here. Okay, now I can create a request, add a request. This is going to be a post request. This is going to be on HTTP localhost 8080 sign up. Okay, and then for the body, I am going to send a JSON string of email, right? We just need email abc@gmail.com, and let's send password 123456. I guess Firebase has a rule that it needs minimum 6 length password, so yeah, we have that, and everything looks fine. Let's go ahead and hit this and see. Okay, we got an error saying reading email request.body.email. I think we need to create a user before we can use email. I think it doesn't takes request inside the method. So user, okay, let's see if it works now. Oh, server.js line 13 request.body. Why is not taking? Undefined. Let's print and see why it's not working. Okay, so we got our request. Our request is pretty big, but let's see if we can find anything. Let me also print request.body and see what we get here. Oh, we got undefined for request.body. Why is that? 8080 is the server running. Headers, content type, application.json. it should work. What mistake am I making here? Express is there, app dot post request dot body. Let me pause the video and see. Okay, I think I found the error. The reason being, I am declaring it to use JSON and other formats after I create my endpoint. So my endpoint should be created afterwards. If I click here, let's see. Okay, the app crashed. The email is already in use. Okay, let me create some other email. I'll use abc1. Let's send it. Oh, okay. Wait. Cool. Let's send this time now, and we see the thing is created, and also we get in response the email. Obviously we won't get the password because it's not secured, but we get all other details that what the users is, like whether its email is verified, disabled or not, and everything. So this is a very simple sign up and authentication part from Firebase and nodejs perspective. This is just the start. I'm going to make more videos on Firebase because I recently started working on it, and I really love Firebase, Firestore, and Firebase storage. So I'll be making more videos on it. Stay tuned. If you guys like this video, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and follow me on Instagram. Thanks everyone.